What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is John Flagg. I own Rebuild Stronger, a strength and rehab company working specifically with powerlifters and other strength athletes. And what I want to do here is really kind of share my thoughts and theories and philosophies about lifting, about life, and about business. So I wanted to start this whole thing off just kind of talking about my own journey through strength sports and as a coach. And really kind of highlight one of the reasons that I myself have a coach. It's one of the things that I get asked pretty often, John, as a coach, like, why do you have your own coach? And one of the things that I find and see in a lot of my own lifters that are making that transition from, beginner to intermediate to advanced, is we start to consume a lot about strength and conditioning. Now, I did a ton of undergrad work, graduate work in athletic training and rehab, but also looked at the art of strength and conditioning as a way to make the athletes that I worked with better and to make them more resilient to injury and all those other things that we talk about now. And it was through my own pursuit of strength that I learned the most about some of these things. But one thing that I found as I continued to develop and move through this process is that I also started to learn enough to become my own worst enemy. I learned enough to be dangerous, not to other people, but to myself. So specifically, the example that I'm going to use here is when it was super, super clear to me that I had to make a change. And this happened prepping for 2017 Nationals. Me and my crew were all training together, all ready for Nats, and I was doing all the programming for it. So really, really, really strong group of guys. I was the lightest of the four, but we all were running a really similar program. And I'm watching these other three guys that I'm training with get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger week after week after week after week after week. And I kept running into frustrations. Now, don't get me wrong. I personally think frustration is a pretty normal part of the process when it comes to training, when it comes to really anything in life. You're going to fail. You're going to have to work through it. You're going to have to figure out new ways. But in this particular instance, like, I'm looking at the program, I'm seeing that we're all four of us doing the same thing, and they're seeing results that I'm not seeing. And it wasn't until about, unfortunately, 3 weeks before Nationals where I finally kind of had the revelation as to why this was happening. And I went back and I looked at my logs and I looked at everything that I wrote down, and I realized that I never, the entire time, the entire 12-week block, I never did a workout as planned. I tinkered with literally every single session. These guys would come in, they would do what was on the board, they would do what was in the sheet, and that was it. I didn't. I came in and modified something every single day. I came in and changed something because I read something on the internet, or found this thing, or listened to this podcast, or whatever it may be, and I changed things. And I changed things too often, and wasn't holding myself accountable to my own practices. Like, I wasn't even treating myself as the athlete that I would treat other athletes as. Like, hey, I want to change this. Okay, cool. Why? I would just change it. And what this led to, outside of frustration, is actually a really down meet. Now, I will also admit, I did not sleep the night before. I was far too worried about their performances. It's one of those moments also as a coach where I realized, wow, competing and lifting at the same time is probably just not my thing. But it didn't lead to a super, super successful meet. And it was after that I decided, hey, I've got to offload this. I've got to learn from this. I've got to really, really start to look outside of myself to figure some of these things out. So that's when I hired my first coach, officially my first coach. I had multiple coaches through weightlifting and powerlifting prior to that. But in this particular instance, like formally working with one-on-one somebody else. It changed my lifting career. It changed my lifting trajectory. And to this day, it's one of the greatest lessons I've learned, because what it's allowed me to do is coach my people better because I have more bandwidth. It's allowed me to stack successful training together. and enjoy the process again, and grow from the process and learn more about the process so that I can better work with my athletes and where they are and understand their part of the process. And then lastly, it's really allowed me to look at training in multiple different lights. When you're doing all of it, you can really get stuck in systematized thinking, like really thinking within where you're comfortable. And having a coach, watching my coaches develop over time, watching the people that I look up to and mentor me as coaches as well, has just expanded my breadth of knowledge and understanding to an even deeper level, and has accelerated my progress, not just from a coaching standpoint, but from a lifter standpoint, through intermediate and advanced phases to where I am now. So wanted to share that story. I think it's valuable for a lot of people who may be on the fence of having a coach or having a mentor or having some level of guidance through some of this process, because you're going to get to a point where education becomes a really important aspect of your own growth. And I've seen a lot of athletes flame out at 23, 24, 25, not because of injuries, not because of some of those other things, but because they don't know where to go. They don't know the next step they need to take. So learn from my mistakes, learn from what took me far too long. Hope to see you on the next one. Peace.